All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best podcast talking about everything new with a U. I am one half of your co-host, hosting duo Jay Horskow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how are you doing this evening?
I'm feeling great.
Are you enjoying not having the air conditioning on?
Oh, the air's on.
Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. All right, and so for this week, we have a very, very special guest lined up. We have Zeke, Igor, and Amy joining us from the band 13. Everyone, thank you so much for joining.
Oh, it's I think it's Ivar. Is he?
Yeah, it's Ivar. I'm on my girlfriend's.
Oh, there we go. Well, here, let me rename you. Hold on.
Oh, that's great.
I forgot to change the.
Hey, you know what? These days, I just kind of take it and run with it. So this is great audio right here. So
that's not a bad policy to have, my friend.
I can see where you're getting confused.
Hey, you can't ask right nowadays. You can't ask. Gents, let's start off by asking. You guys are from Louisiana, Austin, Texas, somewhere in the South,
Austin.
right? Whereabouts? Austin. Okay.
Austin.
So I guess I'll start and throw it out there. So in prep for these episodes, Tim and I usually dig into your catalog, and I gotta say this, right? A lot of bands, they have the aesthetic, but they don't write good songs. You guys write fucking good songs to the point where I had it on the other day and the wife comes home. I had it on yesterday while I was making my dog food, and the wife comes home and she goes, "Hey, what is this? This isn't bad." And she's like inspirational music, Celine Dion shit. So right, for her to stop and come in the room and be like, "Hey, what is this? It's not bad." I mean, I got to give you all you guys credit in the world. Like, you write tunes, right? Which is lost on a lot of bands. They think they can get away with theatrics, where you guys bring both.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's one of my big things, man. Is songwriting. Because I've been all these songs you heard, I wrote most, if not all of them, a long time ago, and I've just been building them for years and years and years until I got to this point.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and you guys have a pretty deep catalog too already. A couple of LPs, a bunch of EPs. The singles are nonstop. The covers album, which I thought was great. I didn't even realize it was a covers album until I stopped. I'm like, is this fucking Smashing Pumpkins? Like, I stopped. I had it played in the background. I picked up my phone. I'm like, oh shit, I guess it is all covers. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, Tim, sorry, I cut you off.
Now I forget what I was going to say. You're fine. I'll don't mind me. I'm a little high right now.
And the plane slowly starts going. So you guys started in 16, 17? Give us a little bit about the background of the band.
So technically the very beginning of 13 was back in 2006. I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
I was like 15, 16. It was a like late freshman in high school, and I just started writing a bunch of metal songs. I was really into shit like Korn and Slipknot and Godsmack and Mudvayne, and I just wanted to make a band similar to all of those, just like, you know, all wrapped up into one. And I had a lot of difficulty getting it off the ground back then because I was a stupid kid. So that project went on hiatus in 2008, and I jumped from, you know, all sorts of different projects in between then and 2016 when I decided to bring us back. And throughout all that time, even while I was primarily focused on other projects, I was still working on 13 material throughout that whole time. I think Asylum itself, that first album, that I started working on that like back when 13 originally started, and it took all the way up till 2017 to like finally put it out, and like, this is it, it's ready, this is the album at its purest. So
that's awesome. I mean, because there are plenty of instances of artists consistently tinkering to the point where they almost lose sight of what they were trying to do. You know, I mean, the example I love is, you know, the people don't realize Stanley Kubrick, when he died, he was still re-editing 2001: A Space Odyssey. He was trying to recut that movie because it still didn't match exact. And this is a brilliant, like, auteur. So that's awesome that you were able to put some time in and get it out there. So let's talk a little bit more about influences, right? You said Korn and Slipknot. What are some of the influences that you have that people might be surprised by?
I have a background of being the vocalist of an emo band, so I like a lot of the emo stuff. I like a lot of I like Nine Inch Nails, industrial. Maybe that one's a bit more obvious. One thing that I do really like, and I think kind of kicked me off in the direction of going towards music and metal and stuff like that, is I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson's old work, like especially the Bad album. The song Smooth Criminal and Bad, and I also liked Beat It, which isn't on that album, but that one really got me interested in music at an extremely early age. Like the way he looked on the cover album was Bad, with all the leather and the chains, shit like that. Like I saw that, and the first time I heard of what heavy metal was, that was the first thing I thought of, just because of the look, the aesthetic, the attitude. And this was the early 90s, so attitude was fucking everything. Like it was printed on the school t-shirts when I was in elementary school that I graduated with in like 4th or 5th grade or some shit.
Yeah, and WWE was just like, hey, an entire attitude era.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we before we started recording, we were talking about Limp Bizkit, right? And that whole idea where you can get some mileage out of some attitude, right? You can get some mileage out of some chutzpah, right?
Yeah.
And that's but I will say this: find me someone who was alive at that time who does not have a copy of Bad, or what was the album before that with Thriller and all that? Was that Thriller?
This Thriller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Find me someone who doesn't have that. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Everybody had it. And it's no matter what you think about Michael Jackson, his personal life, there is no denying the fact that that guy wrote some amazing music. Right? Yeah. Music that will stand the test of time.
Absolutely. It's
so how about
relevant even today?
Oh, absolutely. Right. Guy put together some hits. And and the other thing was I believe he wrote a lot of his own music, which is another thing that a lot of artists these days, especially pop music, like I just watched that. Did anybody catch that Netflix series where they talked about This Is Pop?
Yes.
And they talked about you caught it, Ivar, right? The episode in Sweden where they have all these Swedish guys who are just banging out hit after hit after hit. And it's like, why?
It's the same thing with country music. Like there's not a single country artist out there that writes their own stuff. It's all written by in-studio writers and shit.
Right. Yeah. Down in, what is it, a word for a third, right? And Nashville, right? You just show up and... Okay, Igor, while we're on you, what are some of your influences that people might find surprising?
Oh, I'm a huge fan of The Cure. I love The Cure. My dad raised me on Garth Brooks. Another weird fun fact would actually learn how to play guitar on gospel bluegrass.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been all over the place. My dad raised me on 80s hair metal, so since I was a kid, I was listening to Kiss, Motley Crue. The first concert I ever went to was Skid Row and Slaughter.
No shit. What year was that? 89, 90?
No, I saw it was when I was in middle school in the early 2000s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about another guy with a great voice, right? Sebastian Bach. I mean,
that's the disappointing part is Sebastian was in rehab at the time. They had a replacement vocalist.
But was it like Rachel Bolan and the rest of like Rob, what's his name? That second album, Slave to the Grind, is a great album, but it totally went under the radar because here comes Nirvana and here came all the grunge stuff just coming right out of left field. That, granted, it was time to pass the baton, but at the same time, there was some good music that got lost.
Yeah. And also a lot of pop punk, like a lot of pop punk. Blink-182, Sum 41, The Wonder Years, All Time Low, 4 Years Strong.
Day to Remember, yeah, okay.
I actually met Ivar at a Day to Remember concert.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that come about? Like, how did you two find each other at that type of concert?
I was hanging out with this kid that we call Skittles, and he invited me to the show with him. I said, fuck it, got tickets. And his friend was Ivar's ex or something at the time, his girlfriend at the time or whatever. And we were just all standing in line and just started talking. And it's just we met each other standing in line waiting to get in.
That's kind of wild.
At the time, Igor was playing drums and I was playing guitar, and Skittles was the bass player. And so it was just the drums and bass. And I was like, well, I play guitar, and one thing led to another. And this was while we were standing in line to get into the show.
Which is wild.
So we got to know each other, and then we went to the show, and they got to go on stage. I somehow missed the chance.
Dude,
So
that
I
was nuts. Dude, the worst part about that was right before we went on stage, I got tripped in the mosh pit and kneed in the face, and I actually fractured my cheekbone and jawbone.
God damn.
And then went on stage after that.
Man. The old days of mosh pit injuries. I had a buddy of mine still tells the story. We went and saw the Deftones at the Trocadero in Philly, which I don't know if you guys have ever been up this way. It's an old burlesque joint that they turned into a concert hall.
Oh,
and
dude.
he was in the mosh pit and he turned and he got kneed in the face. And he said he woke up backstage with these two giant bouncers handing him a paper saying, sign this. And it was the waiver saying that he wouldn't sue. And he's like, I'm like, did you even sign your name? He's like, dude, I don't know what I fucking signed. I might have written like the first line of a fucking Deftones song. But he said as soon as he was finished dragging the pen across the paper under the arms, they picked him up and they shotgunned him back into the mosh pit. He's like, so dude, I don't even know what happened. I wake up and Chino's on stage and I don't even know what's going on. So that's, mosh pit injuries are not cool.
Oh yeah, dude! I had my leg stomped out and kill switch engaged, and like, dude, it just I got a nice long list.
How about you, Ivar? Influences that people would find surprising.
Influences I find surprising. My very first show I ever saw, I was 9 years old. I saw Aerosmith open up for Kiss in Dallas, Texas. Probably 1999, 2000. And other than that, I love a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm named after Stevie Ray Vaughan. My middle name is after him. And I go from anywhere from that to like Degent, like Periphery, and other like Whitechapel, As I Lay Dying. But I can jam to just about anything. I like disco, anything with a good beat or funk or like a pocket, a groove, anything that makes you feel a different type of way. You know, if that song makes you feel something before, like when you weren't listening to that song, now you feel this way because of the song, or songs that bring you a certain type of memory.
Like that song I showed you not that long ago that made both of us cry like a fucking bitch.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Dare I ask what song it was?
I forget the dude's name. It was, this guy got diagnosed with cancer and wasn't given long to live, so he wrote an album of songs. Palfu. Yeah.
It's called Deathbed.
About him dying.
Okay.
It's called Deathbed. So yeah, he's like a young rapper that got terminal cancer and died in his 20s, and he basically wrote an album on his thoughts. Of his life and everything, and he has a girlfriend, so the music video is like home video clips, that montage of them on dates together, and he's just like rapping very slowly, like he's in his deathbed, talking about how he doesn't want to die, but you know it's gonna happen. He wish he could grow up to see her have kids, all this sad stuff, but you know he's like, this is just how it is, you know.
That's powerful. It's like Bowie writing his last album, right? As he knew he was dying, he's trying to. Yeah, it's impressive. It's kind of impressive.
So anything really that makes you feel a feeling or emotion, you know, whether it's happiness, anger, I can dig it. I don't really care about the genre, except for maybe country. I'm from Texas, but I don't really do country.
Hey, it's not for everybody. I have a good buddy who lives outside of Dallas. He doesn't even own a pair of cowboy boots. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm in fucking New Jersey. I own 2 pairs. You don't own 1 pair? Like, what's wrong with you? So let me ask the 3 of you this as an open question. Would you agree that people who are into our type of music are typically more open-minded than people who just like, say, I just like pop music, or I just like that, J-pop, right? Like, would you agree that people who are into our
It
sort of left
depends.
of
Some people
center.
get stuck in the mud.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in our genre that don't like the constrictions of a genre, so to speak. And
Yeah.
there's so many influences in metal from all those other genres that it's very easy to go into one or another. So yeah, I can definitely say
Yeah. I think like on there's some level of there's some level of closed-mindedness somewhere within a lot of genres. There's definitely its fair share of it in metal. There is also like a lot of open-mindedness within all these genres of music, because how else did they come to form into what they are? Like someone had to be open-minded somewhere to come up with progressive jazz and any other fucking genre of music that exists. But I do also think that like there are things that each of these genres do that I think there are qualities of each of them that can be mixed into something that's greater than the sum of its parts. One of the reasons I really got into nu metal was because I saw things like, there was the brutal heavy shit in Slipknot, and there was like the dancier sort of like industrial shit in Static X. There was like the Latin style music mixed in with the nu metal stuff in Il Nino, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. There were just so many different fusions of genres that I saw happening within this one. And that I think was what turned me into like a super mega fan, because if it was just only heavy like it is with Korn and Slipknot, as much as I love those two bands, if it was only heavy, I would have got tired of this shit quick. Like I feel like in a lot of ways the like deathcore and death metal genres kind of suffered from painting themselves into that corner in a way. Thrash metal did too. I mean, they got killed in the 90s by grunge.
Yeah.
How does that happen when you're the heaviest genre in the game at the time,
Right. And then they got killed by grunge, and they took it out on calling nu metal what it is, nu metal, because they, for lack of a better term, hated it. Right. I mean, it was an almost knee-jerk reaction to having, you had Cannibal Corpse and Metal Church and all these bands, and they kind of were just like shuttled off to the side, and the hair guys came out, and then the grunge guys came out. And okay, so you brought up industrial. I got to ask this question, and Tim's gonna start laughing because I ask everybody this. Pitch shifter, nu metal, not nu metal.
Pitch shifter?
Pitch shifter.
The band?
Yes.
I'm actually kind of unfamiliar with them, to be totally honest.
I will take that as long as you didn't tell me nu metal. Ivar, thoughts?
I'm gonna repeat what he said. I don't.
Okay, good.
know.
Tim, I like where this conversation's going. How about you, Igor?
Never heard of them.
Okay, good. So I'm still right. It's still not nu metal. We had a and not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think too, if you get a chance, dig into this is a UK band where they kind of just got caught up in what was I think it was the sound at the time, right? I mean, one could argue that Diabolus Musica is a nu metal album. Machine Head obviously took their nu metal steps. They put out Infotainment, which is a brutal, godfleshy industrial album, and then the next album was pitchshifter.com, which is kind of very much in the milieu of what you would expect.
I see. Yeah,
but I always had this argument because I'm convinced they're not nu metal. Maybe I'm just old.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think I'm the right person to ask that opinion, because like there are some like Manson albums that I would quote unquote consider nu metal, but it's I understand like the genre that he's pegged down as, like he's this industrial shock rock artist, but like Golden Age of Grotesque at times, like it's got that fucking nu metal groove and slam to it. And then I look at like the albums you brought up that the Burning Red by Machine Head was definitely an example of a thrash band going nu metal. It was plain as day. People say that about Diabolus and Musica. Frankly, to me, it still sounds too much like Slayer for me to get aboard that train.
Yeah, you're right. The Slayer stink for what right, wrong, or different. You can't get rid of that, right? It just it oozes from their music.
It's his voice,
and it's like, yeah, and it's like because they implemented like, I don't know, a tinier bit more groove into their songs that still contain mostly like blast beats and thrash beats, like, you know, I feel like it's not quite substantial enough to be like, oh, this is their new metal album. But like that tiny little bit that I guess is, because I mean, that was just a product of the time. Like so many other bands were making albums that were considered that style, but they kind of just got roped into it because they were never really only that style. But you know, that Slayer makes this album that's very slightly got that going on because all the other records do, and they get endless shit for it online. Like,
yeah,
they wow, they hate it so much they can't stand even the tiniest little drop of it in their thrash, you know.
And it's kind of, well, I also think to that point though, right, they did something new with the logo. And there was if you think of the album before, was what Divine Intervention, right? So Paul Bostoff joins the band and all he does is blast with both feet. And you had songs like Ditto Head where they were completely just warp speed. And then they go into, like you said, there's more of a groove to it. They slow down a little bit. And that, I think that, what did Rob Zombie say? You can't rely on your fans to tell you what your next album should sound like because they don't know what they like until you give it to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he said that once. And I said that in an interview and I kind of stopped back and I went, yeah, he's probably right. You know, it's like the Henry Ford thing where if I built what people wanted, I would have gotten a faster horse and not what I actually gave them. So yeah, I can kind of see that. I really can. So let's talk a little bit about your music. Like you guys, I mean, you mentioned deathcore, where that's one of the things that and Tim and I are most geeked about with this, for lack of a better term, the new metal revival, right? You have all these new styles coming back in, like, and to your point, Zeke, you talked about how new metal, what made it so interesting the first time is it wasn't such a contained sound. There was Puya, there was El Nino, right? There was the industrial stuff. There was the funk and the jazz that came in, all that sort of stuff. You guys kind of meld all that seamlessly, I dare say. That new single, for all of our listeners, please check out Creep Show. It truly does cross so many. I tried to explain it to somebody. I said, I can't put fucking words on this because any word I give it to you is going to short sell. The 3 other influences are out there. Just go listen to the damn thing. So how did all that come together?
So I mean, we can start with, I guess, Creep Show. That song, that the whole album I basically wrote like 5 years ago during 2016 during the election where Trump beat Hillary, and I was venting a lot of frustrations about the world into those songs, but also about my personal life. You know, I think that was the album where I started to realize that I wasn't a kid anymore, and I was, you know, living paycheck to paycheck in a day job like everyone else. Like, you know, all the things that I was told, like, you know, you're not going to get very far if you end up doing that for the rest of your life. And yeah, making that album was kind of you know, my way of getting that frustration out. But you know, as far as like how all the influences mesh together, and not just that song but the other songs, like, I mean, that song, I was listening to a lot of Hollywood by Marilyn Manson, was listening to a lot of Bring Me the Horizons, That's the Spirit, because that album was out at the time. And you know, in previous albums I had ideas for like what influences I wanted to mix into what songs, what kind of moods. Like I would say our third album, Impure, takes a lot of cues from Head's Love and Death album that he did before he rejoined, or I think it was like right before he rejoined Korn, he did that album. It was stuff like that. It was stuff like the band Him. And then with the even earlier stuff than that, like with Sick specifically, I wanted to kind of recreate the rawness of the Indigo Ranch Studios productions that Ross Robinson would bring Korn in to record their first 2 albums, and bring Slipknot in to record their first album, and Limp Bizkit on their first album, and Glassjaw on their first album. There's like this distinct sound on those 4 albums in particular. Like, you can hear the rooms that they're recording in. You can like like I watched the Deuce DVD by Korn religiously. Like I put myself in that room with them as I'm watching them, and I see those rooms when I'm hearing those records, because you see them being made there, and it just kind of it's got a crispness and a detail to it that is unmistakable to my ears. So I wanted to recreate that as best as I could on my fucking laptop studio. And that album, everything you hear on it was tracked and recorded in 2012, 2013. Even
Really?
before, yeah, because in a previous band I was on tour and we got in a horrible accident, and I ended up really thinking about like what I would want to do if somehow I had to leave this project I was in. And like I said, I had always been like writing 13 material, but that was after that accident. That was when I really took it seriously and started planning for like if shit goes out the door, like I know what I'm gonna do next. But yeah, Sick was recorded in California, where I used to live, back at my old studio that I used to make decent money recording bands at. This was back before literally everyone had access to recording tech on their
back when you
on
had
their
to go to a
laptop.
studio, cut it to tape.
Yeah.
Right. When engineering was actual engineering. No offense to anybody who's great with Pro Tools, but watching them cut tape is fuck.
Yeah,
I don't have the patience. I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, I never got into doing it analog style. I've always done it digitally on Pro Tools. But we had a bigger studio set up back then, and I tried to, when I moved to Texas, I tried to build up another studio, but like the market for it was just already shot. There's so much that your average person can do now with what comes standard on a laptop.
Dude, anybody can do it. Dude, my fucking phone literally came with GarageBand.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
I got this phone 2 days ago and it came with GarageBand back. So
it's moved so fast. It's kind of terrifying, right? In many sort of ways. I always Tim and I always laugh about there's a passage in the book that Jason Netherton from Misery Signals wrote, where he talks about Morrisound and how Cannibal Corpse and all those guys, that Tampa sound, that Tampa metal sound, where they actually had to cut in all the double bass runs because at that point Paul Mazurkiewicz couldn't play it. So they had a guy who sat there with a calculator who would calculate when all the bass drum hits should be cut in and then cut them all in via tape. And I'm reading this and I'm like, this guy had to be absolute like I want to talk about like an idiot savant, but like kind of crazy. Can you imagine like just sit there with a razor?
Fucking nuts.
And now think about the drummers who hear that and they go, oh, okay, well, I just have like the guys like Adam Jarvis, the guys like John Longstreth, who with one foot can blast, faster than most drummers. And they heard that and didn't know it was, for lack of a better term, studio trickery. And they just figured, I guess I just got to play that fast. Who was the other band that sped up their recordings? Was it Rings of Saturn? That got nailed because they were recording at like half speed.
I know. I think Dragon Force was
Dragon Force was accused, but there was no like proof or whatever. They were accused of it, but Rings actually got like straight caught doing that shit.
Well, because they couldn't pull it off live. Like the guy was like fat fingering it, and it's like that's why I'm convinced if you like a band, if you like their recording, go see them live, because a band that can pull off live what they pull off recorded is tiers higher.
The thing is with Rings of Saturn, though, is I've met them a few times, hung out with them a few times. Their vocalist, Ian, is one of the most amazing dudes ever, one of the most amazing vocalists I've ever heard. The guitarist that they got for a little bit, Miles from Interloper, amazingly sweet dude, can actually play all that shit. Lucas Mann, the originator of the band, who actually lives right up the road from us in Georgetown, he's that's the problem.
Yeah, he's not as technically proficient.
Isn't he the one that Jared Dines like called out or some shit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now I know you're talking about.
No.
fuck them, whatever.
I'm always amazed at like these guys who like snipe at each other. It's like there's more than enough. There's more than enough juice to go around, right? You don't
Yeah.
need to necessarily take pot shots. But let's be honest, if someone says or does something dumb, they deserve to get called out, right? All the drama going on now with poor Doc Coyle and all the Bad Wolves stuff, like Tommy Vext is out there running his mouth, and it's like, dude, come on.
I can say one thing in the case of Lucas or whatever brings us at. I'm from the Bay Area scene. It's not the kind of attitude that we're talking about that we're making fun of him for. It wasn't uncommon over there. And part of why I ended up moving to Texas, even though at the time that I moved, like the scene for, me and what I was doing wasn't too bad. We had support out there, but it was a common thread I was seeing that like a lot of people in the Bay Area who would get into music would get a big fucking ego over it. And it's like, dude, you're just plucking strings on a guitar. You're just screaming noises into a microphone. Take your art seriously, but like don't take it so seriously that you take yourself too seriously,
That's it. Yeah. And Tim and I are outside of Philly. So I mean, there's some great Philly bands, but there's that cachet, right? I think you would agree, Tim, that comes with being a Philadelphia hardcore band.
Of course.
Right? Like or is there even like a Philadelphia metal band? Is there even anybody? Yeah. Cognitive. I guess Cognitive, right? Because Rob was close enough.
Well, Ian from Rings of Saturn is actually from Philly. He was in Philly when he joined the band in California. He still lives in Philly. Lucas lives in Georgetown here, and the rest of the band's still in California. But that's the only person that I know of is Ian's actually up in Philly.
Yeah. Where is August Burns Red from? Are they from?
I was going to say, aren't they from?
They're from up north a little bit.
It's Lehigh Valley, right?
Yeah,
Tim,
it's
like
like
Allentown,
Lehigh Valley stuff.
Yeah. Here's the weird thing that people don't realize about Philly. If you look at the state of Pennsylvania, Philly is in this corner right here, and then on the other corner is Pittsburgh, and then somewhere in the middle in Pennsylvania is Harrisburg. But then the rest of the state is like blown open, and you literally go from like outside the city. You get on 95 North, you're 10 minutes out of the city, and it's like, those Amish people? Those are Amish people, right? Like it's all barns and it's kind of wild. It's like shit, but yeah, they're from the Allentown area. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, no, that's really cool. I remember driving up through there. It was beautiful out there.
Yeah, it's all right.
Tim's like, I hate the snow. I'm gonna move to Florida, and here I am thinking I'm too fucking fat. I'm moving to North Dakota. I'm going
to Austin. Isn't that where everybody's going nowadays?
Yeah, dude, everybody's going to Austin, dude. Don't come here.
No, I know I'm not coming there. But I was literally gonna say that like the influx of all them kind of people coming in, it has.
Yeah,
to be
Joe
really
Rogan brought them with him.
Exactly.
And they're just paying higher home prices, higher rent prices, like everything's just shooting up.
Yeah, I just moved, and oh my god, for a 2-bedroom, it is unbelievable. Like what I used to be able to get a house for is what I pay for a 2-bedroom apartment now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. My one of my good friends just relocated from Westchester, PA, around here. He's like, dude, I gotta get out of PA. I hate the winter. Like, I got to get out of here. And then he moves down to Texas like 3 weeks before you guys had that wicked storm where you got like 6 feet of snow, more than like, and I called him up and I'm like, how you doing down there? And he was cursing so loud into his phone, his microphone was cutting out. Like I heard every other word. He was so mad. He's like, this is why I left Philadelphia. What is this? What is this insanity? It's kind of nuts. So
that's a once in a 25 years.
Dude,
but
that was so bad.
The irony of leaving Philly because he wanted to get away from the snow and then moving somewhere where they get a freak snowstorm. I mean, it's just kind of, I think God having a sense of humor.
I think your friend might be the main protagonist of some cosmic Larry David-esque type of comedy show that aliens must be watching or some shit.
His running joke is, shout out to Lef if he's listening. His running joke is he just says flat out, he's like, God hates me. God literally hates me. Every time he flies for business, something goes wrong. His flights are delayed. They're canceled. At one point, I told him, dude, I will fly into Arizona. I will rent a car and I will drive you back to Texas at this point because it's comical. But yeah, God doesn't like him. So let's talk a little about traveling and touring. Have you guys done a lot of touring? What's coming up? You going to take some stuff on the road, maybe? Thoughts?
So we have not toured outside of Texas yet. I mean, we haven't had like a full tour yet. We're still working on that. We're actually hoping to work something out with Pigweed next year. Maybe they could bring us out with them or something. But that only time will tell. As far as like traveling, like shit, we live in Texas. Like it takes traveling to get anywhere out here. So, we were actually this past weekend or the one before? I think it was this past one. We went to Houston, and then we were going to go to San Marcos and then back to Austin, 3 shows in a row. San Marcos that show ended up getting postponed because the owner of the venue tested positive for COVID, and yeah, so
what a pain in the ass with that shit, man. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, that's what I was saying yesterday. Like all these bands and tours are happening. I'm like, I think people kind of want to like slow it down a little bit because I think this variant bullshit coming out, I think you're going to see that has to slow down again. It's just going to happen.
I think I see. And this is where I think the politicking comes into play because you have all these people who are worried about being reelected. So they're not going to make the right decision. And if the right decision selfishly is, don't lock anything down. Keep all these shows going. I bought more fucking concert tickets in the last, I shouldn't say it till I had the wives up there. I bought more concert tickets in the last like 3 weeks than I have in ages. Right. But there's the politicking behind it where maybe you kind of should. I think the hope, Tim, and I'm hoping that the hope is everything burns itself down by the time Labor Day hits. And then we can go back to doing more indoor stuff because I mean, really, really hoping, really, really, really hoping.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you make a good point, Zeke. I mean, Tim and I are spoiled because Philly is 20 minutes from us. New York City is about an hour and a half. Baltimore is 3 hours. DC is 4.5. We could be up in 5, right? Like you guys literally like to go from big city to big city in your state is like, yeah, dude, this is like a 4-hour drive. So strap in.
We could literally drive 8 hours in any direction and still be in Texas.
Jesus Christ.
It's kind of insane.
That's not a joke. That's not a joke.
I know, it's kind of nuts.
Isn't Texas itself bigger than like all of Europe or something?
No, not all of Europe.
Or is it? I'm thinking of a different.
There's I think it's like 3 or 4 countries worth or something like that. It's massive, right?
Yeah.
It's always somewhere I wanted to go to and check out, but now with the not in the summer when it's that goddamn hot.
Well, see, it depends on where you go in Texas. You go to the Panhandle in the summer, it's not that bad. If you go down to the coast during the winter, then it's not that bad. You go out to El Paso, it always sucks. So
yeah, that's what I figured.
Nomad, just migrate around, you should be fine. Just figure out the weather type, you're good. But if you want to stay in some place and actually live there, you're fucked.
The desert gets cold. The desert gets cold at night.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine that type of heat. I mean, again, I'm a fat guy. I sweat in the shower, and I'm gonna go somewhere where it's like, I walk outside and my chucks are melting. It's like, I have a coworker who's out. I think he's in what's it right outside of Phoenix? Is that Scottsdale? Yeah, where he was telling me, they had that really bad heat wave last year where it was over like 120 or something, where the planes couldn't even take off because the air was so thin they couldn't generate lift. And he's like, dude, I literally could go outside and leave a tray of cookies on my dashboard and come back in 40 minutes and it's baked. I'm like, that's not a bad idea as air freshener. But yeah, God bless you guys who can put up with that. Forget it.
Yeah. Right.
Fun fact: we had band practice inside of a garage unit, like an apartment garage unit, and we just shut the door, and so there's like very little air circulation, and it's 100 degrees outside, so it's probably 110 inside the unit. Dead heat.
Fucking oven in there.
It's an oven, dude.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not like a fan's doing anything.
Yeah, all a fan's doing is blowing hot air towards you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes. So I always can drink like a half gallon of water during band practice minimum, like required.
I go
and
through a half gallon of Mountain Dew.
yeah, for him, Mountain Dew.
Oh my God, I would sweat twice as much once I start drinking that. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's the alley at the buffet. Just
Dude, that's 90% of my intake is Mountain Dew.
So right
God
now we're
bless
learning a new album, and so we're practicing twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. So it's just sweat fest twice a week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Yeah,
It's wild.
speaking of new album, you guys have a new one coming out soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Freak show.
Yeah,
That's what it's
October
called,
13th
okay.
every year we
Yeah.
release new material.
Awesome.
Oh shit! Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's why we've put out so much stuff in the short amount of time that we've been doing this. Because it started October 13th, 2017. We put out Asylum, and then October 13th, 2018, put out Sick, and then the following year put out Impure. The following year put out The Blood on the Wall. Always on October 13th. And we're going to keep following that pattern until we reach 13 albums. By then, it'll be just about 2030.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dude,
we
I
definitely
wanted
gotta
to.
have we gotta don't let me forget, Tim, but we'll definitely have you guys back on. Is that date's coming? Maybe we'll do a quick we can talk about the album or whatever, maybe play a
Yeah.
track or two, and then we can get that
Oh,
out
yeah.
right about the same time. Like it's
Absolutely.
we'd love to get that out. That'd be awesome.
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
So, I want to talk about that cover record though, because that record is really fucking good.
Yeah, dude.
The Mushroom Head cover I love because 13 is one of my favorite records ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me too.
Dude, so who did the vocals on there? The female vocals.
That was my wife, Aria.
Okay. Yeah, they sound
Yeah.
good, man. Because I was like, oh, I hope they're gonna have the vocals in there. And then when it came in, I'm like, fuck yes, because that's just one of the best songs on that record. But you could see
Absolutely.
like all your guys' influences, I guess, is on that record. You would
Yeah,
say?
dude. Definitely.
In a lot of ways.
Definitely.
In a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
and I'm so glad you guys did Cold because that's a great song. It's just every time I'm looking in the list, I'm just like, dude, so many good bands on here. Like the Il Nino track is great.
Cold live right now.
Yeah, we're playing that live, and it's going great.
Yeah, that's a great track.
That's
man.
awesome.
It sounds really good too. Like you guys didn't overdo it with the electronics in it, and it sounds great. The production, the thing that I'm very much impressed with, and I was telling this to Jay, is the production on the records are really fucking good, especially like on The Blood on the Wall. That record sounds incredible. Did you guys do you guys do that in yourselves?
It's all Z.
All Z.
I do it all.
100%.
Dude, that
Everything.
it sounds very good, man. Like,
Yeah.
on
You're one
my
man.
on my Apple things, man, they sound great, man. And to go back to that record, that song, the track 4, is it Unalive?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Fucking incredible track.
Oh,
man.
it's
like
unreal.
So
Yeah.
I
good.
was telling Jay, like, you guys write the new metal that I like. Like, there's a certain kind of new metal that I like where it's hard to explain what I mean by it, but the way you guys do it is perfect for me. And I think
Thank
you guys
you.
are definitely one of the best, if you want to call it new metal bands out right now. Because that record, every song there is catchy. I probably, if you go on my Last FM and you hit Scrabbles, I think you're on the top for all time right now.
Yeah.
I think I listened to We Burn on repeat.
Yeah.
Like, it must have been 7 or 8
Oh,
times because I'm if
Yes.
you ever checked out our show, I'm a big deep cut guy where my favorite tracks, oddly enough, are usually on what would be considered the B-side. But I listened to that and I was, again, I'm up to my elbows in chicken guts doing dog food and I'm stopping. I'm staring at my phone and I'm going, God damn, this song is good. And then I'm like trying to hit rewind so I can play it again without like getting chicken crap all over my phone. I'm like, oh, fuck. No,
Yeah,
it's brilliant. It really is
like
brilliant.
Feast of Souls into like Enhancing the Wounds, like them 3 tracks in a row, or Feast of Souls, Unalive, and Enhancing the Wounds, like
Yeah.
banger after banger, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
just
you. That
great.
means
Like
the world.
on Enhancing the Wounds, it's like that song it's got to be like a heartfelt thing for one of you guys. Because what is that song
Yeah.
about?
So I wrote that song back in the high school days. I was really into my friend and I wanted to write a song that we could both sing together. And eventually we ended up, taking different paths in life. And, I wish her all the best. But that song, like I struck it from the record after we stopped talking because it was like, why would I? But then like, it never disappeared from in my head. Like I didn't have like the lyric file documents or anything for that song still around anymore. I deleted all the demo recordings of that song. It stayed in my head and would play every now and then over years and years and years. And finally I was like, I just want to put this song down so I can like hear what the idea was. And that's another track with my wife on it with me.
Okay.
Just because I feel like that song needed the female and male vocal duet together, because that was kind of the driving force behind what conceptually made the song happen in the first place. So yeah, I really like that song. It's kind of about you know, acknowledging that you sometimes, you know, hurt the people you love the most. And, you know, I guess coming to terms with the fact that not only do you need forgiveness from them, but you need to forgive yourself for doing so, you know.
I think that's the best thing about this music, is that it's so relatable. You know, everybody can relate to that. It doesn't matter who you are, if you like new metal or not. I'm pretty sure anybody that's been alive and that's dated and had their heart broken and been through some shit, you know, can relate to that message right there. So yeah. I think to me, that's what makes the message is good and the music is good. And it it comes from a real place. It's not force fed, like, oh, we gotta put out an album, we gotta put this music out. Yeah. Like it comes from a natural place that we think sounds good to us.
Yeah, pretty much everything.
That authenticity, you can't help but pick up on it, right? Like, and Tim and I have talked about this before, it's your lizard brain back here. It can sense when someone is singing about something for the sake of singing about something, and then when it's coming from a place where it's actually heartfelt. And to your point, Ivor, right? It doesn't matter what the hell type of music you're singing, right? It could be just cheesy pop music, but if it's coming from somewhere honest, you can sense that. Whereas if it's somebody, you know, just, hey, I'm trying to get a swimming pool, right? Trying to put a swimming pool in my house. You can hear the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean the chorus of Unalive, it's literally gets stuck in my head like every other day. It's just an amazingly written song, man. Seriously, props to you guys, man, because I can't stop listening to the record, and then now knowing that there's another one coming, I'm even more excited.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like Jay was saying before, like the whole thing with like new metal coming back, like I've been noticing a lot of people are like saying this band's new metal, but at the same time, it's like Amur to me is not new metal, and I think a lot of people just think Amur is new metal. So everyone goes and writes these crushing breakdowns that all sound the same to me, and it's just like, that's not fucking new metal. Like, go back and listen to new metal, and then listen to a band like your guys' band. That's fucking new metal to me. That's new metal perfection to me. Like, you guys write it perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm not just trying to say that because you guys are on the show, but Jay will even tell you, like, I was like, you need to hit them dudes up, because I think they will be one of the next, if not the biggest band in this resurgence, if you want to call it resurgence, because I think a lot of people who haven't heard you yet are going to listen to this episode and go, wait a minute, let me listen to this, and be fucking surprised of how good it is.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that not only has new metal made a resurgence, right, but good new metal has made a resurgence. It's not like, I mean, for lack of a better term, right, butt rock came at the part on the ass end of new metal, right? Like Godsmack and all the early stage butt rock came out of the lighter rock side of new metal. But now we have bands like you and bands like Zone Zero and bands like, I guess, like Cane Hill, and even some like Mood Ring, right? What Hunter's doing. It's where you're pulling the good parts, right? Not the cheese, not the schmaltz, the actual songwriting and the musicianship. And it's like, holy shit, right? Like, you could put together, you could bring back Ozfest, book it full of new metal revival bands. I'm 99% sure you would get a fucking audience for it.
Dude.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Well, I hope we come to play up there for you guys.
Oh yeah, you guys definitely got to come to Philly. It's a wild burg.
Yeah, I think you guys have something very, very special going on in that genre, and I think you have there's a chance for you guys to just take that over. I mean, seriously, because it's so well written. It's just, I can't stop listening to it. I'm going to keep saying it. It's
have you seen the Sin Feast of Souls music video yet?
I haven't. No.
Okay, well, you got to check that out because it's got some. It's all just live footage, just like
Okay.
montage of
Mhm.
live footage, man. And it's actually the very first music video that I'm in. I've only recently been in the band about 8 months.
Okay.
And so it just has,
Interesting.
yeah, Feast of Souls, Sin. It's kind of got two names,
Yeah.
but it's a
check it
really
out
good
after
music
this.
video, and it's pretty recently we just released it. But it's definitely like gives you a very good of idea of what to expect. Like to come if you come and see us live, it gives you a little
Yeah.
sneak peek of what to expect.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, meant to be a showcase of the live energy when we perform. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out a reliable way to keep making more exciting music videos and content and things like that. We actually did earlier this year we did videos for Crazy and Sick, like after years after those songs
Retroactive.
released on their albums. Yeah, and we were doing that as this thing, like at each month this year we were gonna do like post some retrospective stuff on those previous albums, and it'd be capped off with a new music video. And so we did the Crazy video in January, we did the Sick video in February, we did the Impure remix in March, we dedicated April to the Daddy Longlegs EP and the cover album. And or did we do the cover album in May? I don't even remember. It's all such a fucking blur.
Yeah.
No, we did the cover album in May. Did Daddy Longlegs in April. Did cover album in May, and then we started posting about Creepshow in
Fairly
this
recently, right?
July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
July 4th or July 13th?
Yeah, I think we took a month off of like big content releases to separate the old shit from the new shit. But yeah.
And it's I dare say it's good that you use the term content release, right? It's good that you find a way to stay in the audience and the fandoms in the front of the brain, right? Because it's real easy, especially with last year, right? With nobody touring, nobody doing anything. It's real easy to kind of get like lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? Like there were some bands and now they're starting to announce stuff and I'm like, oh man, I forgot about them. I haven't heard about them in a minute. But it's that I and Tim and I talk about like with hardcore music, it's great that, because Tim has a hardcore show. It's great that the bands that consistently do singles and EPs and you stay relevant and you stay moving and you keep people appraised of what's your sound like and what are you doing now and how are you bringing things forward. That's as a fan, that's actually kind of cool because it doesn't let you forget and it's always front of mind.
Yeah. It is a tough race to run.
I can imagine, right? It's got to be a grind, right? I mean, it's shit. It's a grind. It's a grind, and we just do podcasts. Tim's always yelling at me. It's 11:50 on a Wednesday, and he's going, "Asshole, did you cue the episode?" And I'm in a meeting, and I'm like on video camera on my phone, like, "Fuck, you're gonna hate me. Give me 20 minutes." Yeah, it's yeah. Truth be told, everybody who's listening, Tim does all the hard work. I just do the scheduling. So
stop it.
We're gonna get a little off topic here. Zeke, you mentioned early on 9 Inch Nails, so I want to ask, what are your thoughts on With Teeth? Is it good?
I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming.
I like it. I like so. On one hand, his older stuff, Pretty Hate Machine, Downward Spiral, Broken. I love the entire fucking thing, and in a lot of cases, I feel like they need to be heard as one record. I definitely also feel like The Fragile needs to be heard as one record, but I do feel like that album has more like moments of cool things happening rather than it just being banger after banger after banger after banger like in the previous albums. With Teeth, though, I feel like they got a little bit of that. Coming in strong in the first 4 tracks back, still had a bit of that, like, okay, well, there are like flashy moments here and there. But I really enjoy track 1 and track, I think 4 off of that album. I think that's All the Love in the World, and fuck, what was the other one called? Bite the Hand That Feeds. I like that one. I
Okay.
like that one a lot.
Yeah, for me, it's one of those albums where I'm going to say this, and Tim's going to laugh. It's like Filth Pig to me, where when it came out, it was not what I was expecting, and I did not like it. And now when I go back and I listen, I'm like, God damn, I was so stubborn back then, because this is a great album. Like, I mean, sorry, Tim, Filth Pig still isn't the Psalm 69.2 that I wanted. I mean, he got close enough with, what was it, Surgical Meth Machine? Was that the last side project Uncle Al did? He gets close, but it's I go back to With Teeth, and I'm like, you know what? This is more radio friendly, but it's a damn good album. And those songs showed up everywhere. They showed up in commercials. They showed up in Underworld. I mean, give him credit where credit's. He got to write some good music.
Yeah. I certainly don't think it's the worst thing he's done as far as the music he's released. Then again, I'm not so far into the Trent Reznor discography that I know like every single track he's ever done. Like I just know I love those first 3 albums.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're perfect. They really are perfect, right? I mean,
how about Antichrist Superstar? That's like that's a masterpiece, right? I know it's not 9 Inch Nails, but I want to since you brought up Manson, that's a monumental fucking record. I mean,
absolutely.
Even though, I guess Trent wrote half of it, right?
I mean, I don't know how much of that album he contributed on. I know that it was definitely a collaborative effort between the two of them. I mean, and of course the Manson band, I guess. I don't know how much input they had back then either, but I mean, Trent did the production work on that album, and obviously a personality like him and Manson are going to clash when they have to work together creatively, because that's how it would be if either of those guys worked with anybody else. There would be some kind of clash, especially because they're both two dudes that like to have their hands on everything, have control of everything.
And I think that's also sort of with music, that's healthy to have two different opinions, right? Like you look at the Rolling Stones, look at the Beatles, look at the Deftones, bands where there's two very strong opinionated members, where that creative conflict is what drives the music to be as good as it is. I think if everybody kind of got along all the time, it would be kind of vanilla, and you'd end up with like, I don't know, fucking Maroon 5.
Yeah. System of a Down is like that too.
Yes.
With Serge and Darren constantly, like they can barely work together, It took years of the metal press being like, oh, are they going to get back together? Maybe, we don't know. Oh, they're fighting. Oh, they're making up. We might be getting an album this year. No, maybe that's next year. It took all of that time, and then we got 2 songs out of it. And don't get me wrong, the 2 songs are great, but Jesus Christ, those guys must fight all the moment they see each other.
It took, somebody said it took a second Armenian genocide for them to actually put out music, which is really kind of sad. And then you have their, they obviously politically disagree with their drummer, so that must lead to like some interesting conversations. Can you imagine they're all getting ready to rehearse for the new album, and he walks in with a MAGA hat? Like, can you imagine how that would go over? Like, I just want to be a fly on the wall just to see how just to see what happens, to see how it goes.
I still don't understand how you come out of being literally in System of a Down into being a MAGA guy. Like, I don't know where the connecting thread is, but
there isn't one.
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't crap on anybody's political views. You do your thing, but it is kind of odd. It's almost like a misfire, like a cylinder just misfired and went in a weird place. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna actually have to bounce off here, guys. I'm about to basically burst over here. Sorry.
Thanks, Igor.
I do. Thank you.
Thank y'all very, very much. It was great talking to y'all.
Yeah, we'll see you again.
Igor,
what's up?
Bring your fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards to practice.
Okay, I will bring my fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
All right.
So I have a question for the two of you. Ivar, I'm going to start with you.
What's up?
You get to go on tour, and you get to pick who you're opening for and who opens for you. Who do you choose?
Wow.
So you're sandwiched in the middle. So who's headlining, who are you supporting directly, and then who are you picking as your opener?
And Zeke, you might want to think of this while he's doing it, because he's going to go right to you after.
I get everybody with this question.
Wow,
What,
dude.
what was the full question again?
If you get to pick your tour, you get to pick who you're opening for, and then who is your direct support. So you're sandwiched in the middle of the bill. Who's the
Okay.
who are you supporting, and then who are you picking to open up for you?
Okay, I see.
Dude,
It's a hard
Man.
one, right?
that's such a hard one, dude. I mean,
Jay
Well,
loves to
before
do
he-
this.
Before he answers, can we
It-
pick? Does it have to be? If we pick a band, does it have to be like what that band is now, or can it be like a previous?
Oh no, pick
period of time,
you know,
like-
if you could say like, hey, I want to open for like Slipknot torn off the first album, right? Like or something
Okay.
like that. Okay,
Okay.
that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah,
dude.
absolutely.
Okay. If I could have one band open up for me, I would say Rage Against the Machines.
Okay.
And if I could have one band a headline, I would say like Pantera.
Okay. Okay. That would be an interesting show, but
Yeah.
it would draw, right? I mean, this is
Dude.
back in the 90s, right? Mixed bills. Mixed
Yeah,
bills
dude.
used to work.
I feel like that would be a solid lineup.
Nobody would make it out alive. How about you, Zeke?
All right. So I want headlining above me. I want Korn circa 1995, like
Hell yeah.
self-titled Life is Peachy era, and playing before us. This was going to be a weird one, but I want Attack with Austin Carlisle before they fight during
Wow.
the Sickly record. Because the whiplash is going to be so fucking hard, dude.
Yeah, that would be kind of jarring. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not
And
expecting
I'm-
that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy those first two Attack records a lot. Like they were just a bunch of dumb kids having fun. Yeah.
Definitely. And I was
Yeah.
of the era of dumb kids having fun when I came out. So
Yeah, they're not bad records at all.
No.
I have to go back and listen to them again now that you
there's
said
a
it.
time and a place.
Yeah.
You're right. It's very much a time and a place. It is. I
Yeah.
mean, call
Yeah,
it
yeah,
dated,
yeah.
call it referential, but it at that moment that was what was in.
That was it, dude.
So
Yeah.
I know you guys talked about it, but the beginning of the episode was a cloud to me because I was coming down off of, when I was doing it. But
That's okay, Tim. I'll carry the first half.
but
It's fine.
you said so a lot of these songs were written like years ago. Like so you were writing out like guitar, drums, everything. Do you play everything?
Everything.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, I play guitar and bass the most. I'm not really good at physically playing the drums, but I can write drums, and I use a lot of like drum machines and stuff.
Oh, like Superior and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so it's crazy that like the records we're getting now, like so Blood on the Wall was written in like 2016, and then you just put it out this year's or last year.
Yeah, so I think the Blood on the Wall was it was tracked and recorded in 2015, and then 2016 was when I moved on to Creepshow.
Wow.
And yeah, at that time I wasn't 100% like 13 is coming back. I was still in other projects at that time. I was just doing that shit to, because I had the free time and I wanted to.
So these are just songs you were just like fucking around with at home, and you just had in a folder ready to go.
Yeah, but a lot of the songs before they were tracked in 2015, a lot of those songs were written back when I was in high school. A couple of them have been like structurally reworked since then, but pretty much every song we released up to this point has had like some remnant of something that I wrote back when I was a teenager.
Wow. And that's
Yeah.
even more
Wild.
impressive, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wild.
How are you? So singing wise, are you like a trained singer, or is this just something you picked up on mic one day and you were just like, fuck it, I'm going to do this?
I've always had like a natural inclination to singing, like since I was a little kid. But I didn't start taking it seriously until like I think I was like 13 or 14, and I was watching a DVD of Korn, performing, and everything about what I was seeing and what I was hearing and what I was feeling made me want to be like an actual performer. I'm not trained or anything like that. I did take like a voice training uh, course in community college 1 year, but that was like, well after I had already begun my career singing. So
Shit.
yeah, and a lot of what I do is, self-taught. I remember there was one point during the making of, actually it was during the making of all of the records except for Sick, somewhere within like 2015, 2016, because Impure and Asylum were previously recorded, but around then I was finishing up everything and getting those ready for release and tracking the vocals and stuff like that. But fuck, my train of thought just crashed immediately into a fucking wall. What was I just talking about?
How you recorded Asylum and the other record. Shit, now I can't remember.
Hey, it's late on a
shit.
Sunday. It's late on a Sunday. We were talking about how you had all this stuff and you've just slowly but surely been recording it, and
care.
Man, that must
Nobody can remember. Yeah, this is great.
I tend to ramble, and it's like I'm looking ahead at where the sentence is going that I forget to look back at where the sentence just was.
Hey, it's normal.
Okay.
That's fine.
It's all good, man.
Yeah. There's very little Tim and I. It's a slapdash disaster. A lot of these episodes.
Basically, when you listen to the album, you're hearing a one-man band, honestly. But Zeke is a master at getting the drum track to sound exactly like it needs to sound, and he'll go over it. I always ask people, when you hear, so we don't have a drummer right now.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Okay.
And so I always tell people who've never seen us live, who are new to us when they hear our music, I always ask them, like, what do you think of the drummer? What do you think of the drums? Or, and they're always like, dude, it's sick, it's tight as fuck. Like, and I'm like, yeah, there isn't one. Our drummer is the computer.
No, our drummer's trapped inside the computer. That's
our drummer's trapped inside the computer. You ever seen Code Lyoko?
Yeah. So when you guys play live, you just go off the backing tracks from the recordings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
But we throw down on stage. So like we really make, like, the fact that there's not a drummer there, we kind of, everybody's moving on stage. No one's standing still. Like, we're all very theatrical and performative, high energy. So no one really, like, every show after the show's over, everyone's like, dude, that was fucking badass. Like, pat me on the back, like, y'all killed it. Like, no one's like, you get the one or two dudes in the room that are like, oh, where's the drummer at?
There's one in every bunch.
We actually had someone at one of our Houston shows. We had someone like complain and scream to the bartender because we were playing and we didn't have a drummer.
Yeah, he was heckling us.
Yeah, well, I didn't hear him. I was busy playing the show, but like, yeah, apparently the bartenders got yelled at because we didn't get a drum. We didn't have a drummer at that show.
Oh,
kind of
really
a weird flex,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, what's going on in your life, buddy? That this is the thing that you're gonna, this is where you're gonna play.
He was a drummer, so he was trying to get our attention. Be like, but by talking shit and calling us out, that would make us want to be like, oh, hey, you know what? You're right. We need a drummer so bad that we're just gonna pick you up.
Yeah.
No.
Eat a dick.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Seriously, what's fucking wrong with people?
I see nothing wrong with doing that, especially if you guys want to get out there and show people your music. If you don't have a drummer, you make it work.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
If we had to wait until we had a live drummer to start doing what we're doing, none of our albums would be out right now. Like, we've put out everything we've put out there. We've played every show that we've done because I managed to find a way to perform without needing a full band, and that's putting the shit on the backtrack and You know, if I can get someone to play guitar live, I'll do it. If I can get, you know, a bassist behind me to play live, I'll do it. If I can get a drummer and it's not an extremely complicated process and, you know, it's totally limiting to what songs we can play live, if I can get people to play like backing samples and shit, I'll do it. But I'm not going to let that, you know, stop me from putting on the shows and letting people know that like this music is here, it exists, it's waiting for you to hear it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, because there's plenty of bands I'm sure that have a full 5-piece and they can't get out of their own fucking way, right? They and you're like, oh well, fuck it, we're gonna play some shows, we're gonna get out there, and we're gonna let the fans experience it the way we wanted to experience it, and we're not gonna let that preclude us. And that's more people, and drummers are notoriously a pain in the ass, right? Tim, you told that one story about the guy you tried out where he mounted his toms upside down, and it was a Tim's other show before I knew him. I was a fan, and I was in tears listening to him tell this story where the dude showed up and just set the whole kit up wrong, and you were like, dude, what are you fucking doing?
You're hitting the resident heads. What are you doing? And then he kept telling me he knew all the songs, but like, and the dude had like 2 hi-hats, like one on the, I was like, come on, bro. Like, I know people use 2 hi-hats, but like, you can't even reach the one that's, you're hitting the wrong side of the toms. Like every crash is like, it's like like if you touch it with your arm, it's cutting half of it off. Like I'm in the same thing. Like when I quit that band, I like wrote a bunch of records and I was actually going to play shows with my laptop as the drummer, but I just never got around to it. So when you say that you do that, I find that awesome because I was going to do the same shit. Yeah, I don't really care if there's nobody behind me. If I'm playing the songs, oh well. You don't like it, don't
exactly.
come. You know?
Exactly.
Our album release show for Sick in 2018, everyone in my band, like we ended up just completely parting ways. Like my guitarist, I had a fist fight with him. He and I have been best friends our whole lives, and we've made up since then. We're all good now. We're still brothers, you know. But it was a very tumultuous period in our relationship with each other. We were also roommates, you know, living together, seeing each other every day, and involved
familiarity
in
breeds contempt.
And involved in each other's bands. So that's double the stress of being in a band on both of us. So, you know, it just turned into a perfect storm of you know, stress and bullshit that we each had to process separately so we could come back and be the best of friends again. And then you know, my drummer at the time found a gig the same night that was going to pay him more and involved his entire family being there. So he had to pass on the release show. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that leaves me with a bass player. And then, you know, he realized that he needed to be doing other shit. So he ended up moving on too. So that album release show for Sick, I ended up doing on stage completely by myself with the instruments on a backtrack. And there wasn't not a ton of people stayed through the whole performance, but I've been told by a lot of the people who were there that they were blown away from seeing one person rock as hard as they did to a record they spent years and years and years working on, you know, all of that work leading to this moment. And it's like, I did what I had to do, man. It's tough entertaining people by yourself, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but, for sure. Yeah. And then, but you didn't let the situation make you go, oh, I'm going to
define
do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just made it. You just kept it going and made it happen. And that's fucking, I respect that, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's crazy it's crazy how many people we've talked to, including you guys now, that like you sit there and you're like, wait, did this dude plays everything? And oh yeah, I'm in like 4 other bands too. It's like, and you listen to them and they're all fucking good. And it's just like you younger guys, man, are just
so it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like we've had Jordan from Zone Zero on, who does Zone Zero. He does that like synthwave thing. Now he's got like a metal band coming. We had Hunter Young on, you know, he does Mood Ring and he does Grave View and he does Body Box. And it's like, where do you guys find the fucking the influences, let alone the time, right? Like you're just hammering out music. It's like, shit, I can't even remember to schedule the fucking episode. It's like, you guys are writing entire, like, you know, productions. It's like, God damn, it's impressive.
It's very impressive, especially like, you know, learning guitar, bass, on top of that, being able to sing the
Yes.
songs. Like that's the
Yeah.
craziest thing to me, man. Like I
Yeah.
just respect it a lot in people that can do that. Like I could play drums very well. I could play guitar very well. But like when I go to do it all together, I'm just like, I miss that element of like someone next to me, like, yo, we should do this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
people who can sit
exactly.
there and write music like that, I find it amazing that like that dude from that, what's his name? Eddie Wolfgang. What the hell is that dude's name? From
Wolfgang
Wolfgang
Amadeus,
Van Halen.
Van Halen.
yeah. Like I know this
Eddie's
has
son?
nothing to do with it, but the new record he did is all him. He did everything on it, and it's fucking incredibly well written.
Regardless of your feelings, the first Foo Fighters album was all Dave Grohl. He
Yeah.
did that whole thing, and I mean, I'm sorry, there's some really good fucking
No,
songs
there
on
is,
that album.
man, and then to find people like Ivar and stuff to come in and be cool with like on the records like that, I guess you didn't write anything on, to be able to play it and stuff like without any you going like, oh, can we do this? Like I just find that to be great because it shows
Well,
how much everyone else likes this stuff as well. If you get what I'm saying.
Here's a key part to it is that I didn't even fucking play bass when I approached the band. It's kind of weird. So like I knew Igor from high school because we had a pop punk band together where he was the drummer, I was the guitar player, and then we had that Skittles guys on bass. Long story short, high school bullshit, that didn't work out. I didn't talk to him for years. Like it ended badly. But I happened to just randomly see him post a video on Facebook being like, hey, I'm in a new band playing a show tonight in Austin, Texas. And it was on a work night for me. It was on a Thursday night. I just happened to just be scrolling while I'm sitting on the shitter at work. And
nothing
I happened
like
to
getting
see
paid to go to the bathroom, right? Every working man can appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey man, it's Texas, and I get swamp ass. I gotta go to the bathroom and like dry off. So I was taking a break, and TMI, I know. but I ended up seeing that video and ended up going to the show that night and was so thoroughly impressed with seeing two dudes just throw down like insane, just lunatics. And they didn't give a fuck if anybody was in the room or if the room was full. Like they were playing like nobody gave a shit. Like they were doing their thing. And I saw that and ended up like, hanging out to the end of the show and just being like, man, it's good to see you again, all this stuff. And I was like, where's your bass player? They're like, well, we don't have one. It kind of told me the story about what happened. And Igor had an extra bass. He had a Schecter Elite 5 series, which is what I'm still using to this day. It's an amazing bass. And I've never touched a bass before in my life. Now I played guitar and I played violin in high school, so like I wasn't like totally stupid, but never played bass. And bass is similar to guitar, but it's very different because it's got the rhythm aspect of it, where you're almost percussive. You're more on the percussive side.
Yeah, and
you kind of got to ride that line, that perfect line of being a guitar player and being a percussion player. I don't really slap. I play with a pick for the most part, or I could do a little bit of walking, but everything that I know, Zeke has taught me basically 99% of everything that I know on bass. Every song that I play on stage, he has mentored me. And like that's why we spend 2 days out of the week, every week, in the Sweatbox garage. It takes dedication, it takes time, it takes commitment. You got to show up, you got to sweat, you got to put in the hours, you got to remember. And then when it comes to the show, I don't think about band practice. I don't sit there and like look at my hand and like, don't fuck up. Like, no, when you come and see us play, I'm probably going to fuck up, but I'm going to move on. I'm going to make it look like I didn't fuck up. And unless you know the song, like, unless you're like really familiar with our music, like you're probably not even going to tell. And it's just going to be a good time. So we really don't make a big deal about like little mistakes because we put on a show. We have energy.
Yeah. And the little
Yeah.
mistakes is what you go to the show to see, right? The organic nature of the
Yeah.
music. I mean, one of the criticisms of, if you remember, one of the criticisms of Linkin Park was when that Live in Austin, Texas album came out,
Yeah.
where they said, well, one of the critics said that this sounds too sterile. And it's not that they're not great musicians, because they are, but there's no the knock was that it sounds too clean and too perfect.
Right.
And no band should be like that live. I mean, like, and Tim and I have talked about this before. The whole drummers that play to a click and then they make sure everything is aligned perfectly on a grid, you kind of lose something, like,
Mhm.
we joke about how Dave Lombardo is one of the most brilliant sloppy drummers you'll ever hear, right? Or like Igor Cavallari, you in the old Sepultura stuff, you can hear him slow down and speed up. Like he rushes
Absolutely.
and drags. But that's the cool part, because you can tell it's a human back there playing. And I love my guys that blast, and I love my guys that do all that stuff, but there's something that's kind of lost in that the perfection of imperfection is what really makes it kind of impressive.
Yeah.
If that made any sense whatsoever.
That exact philosophy actually plays a part in my recordings a lot, because I am working on a laptop. I'm using Pro Tools. I'm using drum machines. I'm, recording guitars, digitized tones. I'm copy pasting. I'm cut pasting. I'm doing all of this this digital handiwork, and I'm still making an effort to leave in certain things that are like, the little fuck ups here and there. Like there are a couple parts in there's some weird guitar noise in one of the rhythm tracks in The Mirror on the Asylum album. Couple weird guitar noises. I kept them in because it just kept the rawness to the energy. And I kind of like the mixture of like the clean cut shit and the raw, like sloppy shit. Like I like the having them both there, because it just they complement each other so well. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of bands now don't realize, because they're spending all their time trying to get the cleanest, purest sound out of their recordings. They're trying to out clean everybody. And there's not as much attention being paid to the raw shit, and you're not going to get people to pay attention to it unless you mix it in with the clean shit. It's kind of like mixing your dog's medication in with their food,
Yeah, it's the juxtaposition is
Yeah.
what makes it so fascinating. The fact that it's operating in control but out of control at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, you notice each of those two things, or you notice one or both of those two things, and they remind you of the other being also in the mix there. Yeah.
Yeah. Another off-topic question, because these are the questions I love to ask. I know some artists don't really listen to other music, right? Especially when they're recording, when they're writing, because they don't want to get influenced. But what have you guys picked up lately? What have you been listening to that jumps out? Stuff that you've come across, you're like, yeah, this is pretty damn good. I like it.
Zeke, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Lately I've been listening to more like I've been going back and listening to more like 90s pop, also like 90s alt rock, and also some more modern like hip hop artists. I recently started listening to like Lil Peep, rest in peace. I heard he passed away years ago, and I started listening to Lil Nas X, just because the last two videos he did were really good, and I think he's a cool guy. But apart from that, like listening to the stuff that was insanely popular back in the day, and like trying to like hone in on what it was that made those songs stand out. Apart from having like thousands of dollars being pumped into them to make them super hits and shit. Like structurally, what do pop songs do? I try and take those ideas and apply them to metal as best as I can without sacrificing anything that makes it metal. Um, I think I think that that idea, that concept, is something that's lost on a lot of people that are in metal bands now. It's like what you said earlier about they're there are a lot of bands that you know, have the aesthetic and the image, but they're, you know, not really writing substantive songs, you know. It's
Yeah.
not like it's not like they're putting things out that are really pulling you in, apart from like you just like the sound of the genre or the look of the genre, you know.
Yeah, it's you know,
Um,
it's funny you mentioned Lil Peep because I came into him after he was gone, and I
Yeah, me
think he
too.
was brilliant. I think
Yeah.
that song "Star Shopping" is beautiful and perfect, and it's like really like never in a million years, you know, everybody loves to make fun of like that, you know, that like SoundCloud rappers and stuff, and it's kind of become like a self-referential joke in and of itself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But his I'm sorry, his music was fucking great, and we really
Yeah.
did lose an amazing artist. Like he was so talented. That last album he did, and I'm not afraid to admit it, is really good. There is not one bad track on that album.
It is, yeah. It's
I've
really
never
good.
heard anything he's ever done.
I'll send it to you, Tim. I'll send you the
Okay.
name of the album. It's actually really good. Like I really like it, and you know me, that's not in my wheelhouse at all. How about you, Ivar? What have you been listening to lately? Where you're like, huh, this is damn good.
So I've really become appreciative of instrumental music. To give you one example, I'm gonna give you a couple different examples, but to throw back one, Edgar Winter, Frankenstein. I don't know if you're familiar with that song at all.
Mm-mm.
It's from the 70s. He was one of the entrepreneurs of electrical music, like incorporating weird sounds like UFO sounds and like trippy acid rock sounds, kind of around the time Led Zeppelin, but a little bit before. He was one of the pioneers of that. So I highly recommend it's an instrumental song, and it's about 7 minutes long. It has an amazing percussion section. It has a jazz band, and then it has like a Hammond organ. It just has like all these different parts in the song that it takes you through this up and down journey and valleys and peaks and valleys. And there's no words or anything, and you just feel like by the end of the song, you feel like you've been through an acid trip and you've ascended through a UFO. Like it's a trippy song, you know.
Okay, cool.
And then I listened to another band called Polyphia. If you ever heard Polyphia,
Yep.
I like a lot of their stuff off Renaissance. Their new stuff is really interesting too. I'm trying to remember the name of the album, but it's much more rap influence or like trap. And so just I like that those songs don't rely on the crutch of lyrics and harmonies and vocals to appeal. That I still feel like I'm getting. They have a song called Lit, like LIT, and it's very dubsteppy. But I watched the music video, and there's this like it's just this guy dancing, you know, but it feels like he's like telling a story through his body language and the music and everything. And every time I hear that song now, I just immediately, like if I'm walking down the street, I just want to stop and start dancing, like in the music video, just do what that dude's doing, you know, like uh uh but just music in general that just makes you, like I said, feel something. Those are like two songs. I'm trying to think of like something else that I've been listening to um, that has been getting my attention, like musically. I guess Michael Jackson. I've been learning some ZZ Top because Dusty Hill, rest in peace, Dusty Hill. So I've been learning I learned Sharp Dressed Man the other day. So going back to my roots, my dad's a drummer from the 80s cover band. So I grew up.
Yeah,
you
all
know,
that
just
stuff. Yep,
all that
yep.
stuff. So it's just kind of I go back and forth between like metal, then 80s, and then, you know, as a teenager, I grew up through all the grunge and emo stuff. So it's like I have different phases of my life that I can kind of pick and choose from. Stevie Ray Vaughan to, you know, Pantera to Kiss and Aerosmith. It really depends. I can kind of pick and choose what I need in this moment, what fits, what does the song need, and then I just sort of find where in my life does it go, you know.
Yeah, the mental trigger. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, gents, we're hitting the 90-minute mark, and I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. I have a funny feeling that we could probably go on for another couple hours. We didn't really get to go down the nerd rabbit hole, but we'll save that for the next show when we bring you back prior to the next album coming out.
Sweet.
So to wrap us up, Zeke, Ivar, if people who are listening want to find your music, they want to find more about the band, they want to buy some merch, where do they go? Where do they look?
So as far as buying some merch goes, we just launched a Big Cartel store. I believe it's 13unmetal.bigcartel.com.
I literally just bought a shirt 2 seconds ago.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. I saw the notification up on my phone.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, yeah.
That was me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
I feel
you.
like that's like we're having a conversation at dinner and you just slipped me like a 20 under the table or something.
I was just hoping you had hoodies.
Oh, Tim is his hoodies.
we home make all of our merch, or as much of it as we can.
Okay.
Like shirts and stuff. So if you want something made to order, feel free to ask and we'll get it made. If you want a hoodie, we'll get one made.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, we'll talk we'll talk in a couple days or whatever.
Yeah. My wife makes all the shirts right now. And I mean, she really loves doing like craft projects and stuff. She's trying to make a store with like resin goods. She tried making some grinders and keychains and stuff like that. And
cool.
A lot of it looks really fucking cool. So yeah, Big Cartel store if you want to buy merch. If you want to check us out, our music, we're on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple, all the platforms basically. And we got a YouTube page. It's 13 Unmetal. That's how you find us on YouTube. That's where I post things directly. So aside from the albums and stuff coming out in October of every year on Spotify and stuff, if you want to keep up with the band, you can find us on that YouTube page. We're also on Facebook, where you can get info on like all of our shows and stuff. And we post on Twitter. We try to post on Twitter as often as we post on Facebook, but I don't know. Our reach on Twitter isn't really all that big compared to Facebook.
Twitter's a weird platform. Yeah.
We've put in more hours on Facebook than on Twitter, that's for sure. We're also on Instagram. I believe Instagram and Twitter, it's at 13_unmetal. And that's XIII. A lot of people get confused because of the name, but
okay.
Yeah, it's 13 in Roman numerals, 1 X, 3 I's.
And if I may plug the salsa real quick.
Yes, another piece of merch. Ivar, he makes Salsa Day 13.
Shit.
Also, also Igor makes Mosh Begone soap. It comes in Molgoth and Dragon's Blood scents.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah.
So the rundown on the soap, real quick. The Dragon's Blood one smells like heaven. Like it smells like really, really good. It smells like a Chinese incense shop, kind of, sort of. Like really good incense. And the other one smells like Hot Topic, but like circa 2005 Hot Topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
The point of Molgoth was to make something that smelled like the inside of a Hot Topic back when you were like, high school or college age guy.
And so he lives on a farm with a bunch of goats, and they use the goat milk, and so it's all homemade, it's all natural, and it's really good for like your tattoos and stuff. And so there's awesome. none of that crazy crap in there, dyes and weird shit. So it's made from like some dudes on a farm here in Texas. That's about as Texas as it gets.
And Igor's farm, it's his goats.
Yeah, it's his goats. He's got chickens and everything on there too, but it's the goats that make the soap. And then I make salsa. I buy the ingredients myself. We get a lot of farm to market, local farmers. I get the produce, and then I roast them on oak charcoal, and I smoke the vegetables. So the salsa is very smoky. It has a very barbecue-esque flavor. And I make 2 batches. I make a regular one, and then I make a habanero one. But the regular one still has a little bit of heat to it. It's not completely like neutral. Like there is some heat. It's more of a back of the throat, and it's very slow. It doesn't like punch you in the face and beat you over the head. Like it.
Yeah.
You can enjoy what you're eating first, and then get the heat.
Mm.
I highly recommend for like people who don't like spicy food at all. If you get the mild one and you make breakfast tacos, get some sour cream and some cheese. It really helps with neutralize the level of the spiciness. But yeah, I make 2 different kinds. I sell them like in baby food jars, and I sell them in like 8-ounce jars for like $4 and for $7. And we can work out shipping. Obviously, I pass the shipping on to you, whoever's buying it. But yeah, if you buy a couple of them, 4 or 5 jars, whatever, I'm more than happy to ship them to you.
Now I'm legit hungry. Like now I'm legit hungry. Like shit.
I've used the salsa as a marinade for shrimp. I just took some shrimp, put them in a bag for like 3-4 hours, and then took them out of the bag, and then they were just like really, really good. So it's authentic. I put a little bit of vinegar in there, and I boil the jars so that they're canned, so they're shelf stable.
Okay.
So you don't have to put them in the fridge until you open it. Once you break the seal, then you have to refrigerate it. But so I can ship them to you across state, and you don't have to worry about it spoiling or going bad.
Nice.
And it's made with love. It takes me a lot of time. It's a time-consuming process to make it by hand.
That's the
But
thing about all of our merch products is they're made with love.
everything.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are like, building up your own. We're gonna have links to all this stuff in the show notes. But you guys are building up like your own. You're building your own hot topic, right? You got everything. That's awesome.
We're not even going to be known for music 10 years from now. We're just going to be a salsa soap company.
Hey, you know what? It lives on past you. So, once again, on behalf of Tim, myself, Ivar, Zeke, and Igor had to leave. We want to thank the 3 of you, right, for taking the time to meet up with us. This has really been fun. We look forward to doing it again. On behalf of Igor, Zeke, Ivar, myself, and Tim, we want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in once again. You can find us on all the socials, newbreed_podcast. You can find us. Email is newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. Did you like the show? Did you not like the show? Feedback, let us know. We do have a very vibrant Facebook group, but once again, I have to call out, we are not New Breed, the UK Christian rapper. We are a new metal podcast. However, we do welcome everyone with open arms, and we love your outside influence. So once again, on behalf of Tim, myself, and the guys from 13, we want to thank all of our listeners. And until next time, the New Breed Podcast is saying cheers. We'll see you next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time, man.